All right, everybody, on behalf of Professional Title, I want to welcome you guys to how to find, work, list, and sell good old Fsbos. I really wanted to bring this class because we've talked about this a lot over the last year or so, and I've kind of given you guys a quick Fsbo strategy for those of you that I met in person. I wanted to really be able to show it to you in person so you could see exactly how to do it with some screenshots and some screen shares. I also wanted to debunk some myths, right? A lot of people are saying they don't want to work Fsbos now because the market's too good. They don't need us, and that they're never going to sell or they're never going to list. And while that is partially true, right? Some people are definitely selling, but some people are selling with real estate agents as well. Right now, in my opinion, is one of the best times and opportunities to work Fsbos because so many people have the limiting belief that they don't work, that they're just tapped out working them. And they're actually giving up faster than they ever have in the history of Fsbos, which is a good sign for us as well. So I wanted to make sure that you guys know what you're doing. And as the market starts flattening out a little bit, inventory is supposed to start picking back up here in February. Rates are going up, so that's going to balance the market a little bit. As this starts happening, Fsbos are going to be more and more prevalent in the marketplace. And if you're looking for a strategy to attack and add more listing inventory, this is a good one that people just always skip, right? For whatever reason, people are scared to death of Fsbos. And I want to make sure that the 22 of us at the moment are on the call, are not scared to work them and they know exactly how to do them. I'm going to give you two ways to work them. One's a little bit old school and boring, and one is the way that our team has used for years that you can plug right in. It's only a couple hours of work, 3-4 days a week, that I guarantee if you actually do, you will convert some Fsbos. So we're going to do Fsbo stats, myths, and realities in the beginning, and then we're going to spend a little bit of time, actually a lot of time on how to find, a lot of time how to work, and then listing them and selling them you guys are already good at. So we're going to spend most of our time in that find and work section. Most of you I know. Those of you that I don't, thanks for joining us. This is me. This picture was taken yesterday. My name is Ryan McHugh. I work with Cindy and Kent at Professional Title. And I am an employee of Fidelity National as well, our parent company. So if this is your first time joining us, every Monday at 12 o'clock, I do a Zoom call sharing you guys all different strategies on how to build your business. We focus on technology, social media, lead generation most of the time. And those of you that I've never met in person, we do a lot of great in-person workshops in all of your marketplaces every single month with all different topics. We have February dates booked for all of our markets. So if you have not gotten with Cindy and Kent yet to get to those, make sure that you do. I come from the sales side of the business. I ran the largest sales team in the state of Florida for a couple of years. We did over 400 transactions a year, 3 years in a row. And then I ran what at the time was the most successful real estate franchise in the state for 5 years as well. So all I really know is the sales background. All I ask from you guys is if you get anything out of any of our classes, whether they're in person on Zoom, that helps you add some money to the bottom line, helps you do some more deals, that you give Cindy and Kent at Professional Title a shot. And I know that they will retain that business if you give them the chance to earn it. So that's all we ask. If you get something out of today, send Kent and send Cindy some deals, and I will be happy and keep doing these as long as you guys keep doing that. All right, let's dive in. How to find, work, list, and sell Fsbos. Fsbo, if you didn't know, means for sale by owner. One of the best things in the marketplace because they already have a hand raised saying that they want to sell. Right? Everyone's complaining right now that there's no inventory, there's too many buyers, there's not enough sellers. Well, there's a bunch of people with their hand held high already saying that they want to sell, that for whatever reason, whether it be we're too scared or we don't know what to say or whatever crazy fear we have, that we're not willing to talk to them and convert them. But the people that are working Fsbos right now are printing money, and I want you guys to be in that group because money is nice. So some Fsbo myths. We're going to talk about the myths first, and then I'm going to go back to them and debunk each one of these with a reality. So first of all, they'll never list, right? That's one of the myths that I always hear. They'll never list. Why would they choose to list if they already chose the Fsbo? We'll talk about that. They take too long to convert. The average used to be 12 weeks. We're going to talk about what that average is now. It's crazy. It's about a third to a fourth of that time. They are overpriced. Sometimes this is true, but usually it's just because of a lack of data. And this is something that you guys can very easily overcome. And I want to help you do that. They have something wrong with them. Sometimes that's the case, but usually the only thing wrong is that they didn't hire an agent and their marketing is what's wrong with them. And number 5, buyers would rather deal with the seller directly. So all these things are the common myths that agents say or speak about when they're talking about Fsbos. But I want to dive into each one of these. So they'll never list. The truth is they'll list as soon as they sniff defeat. So our job is to find out when they sniff defeat and be right there on their back, ready to help them. Because usually the realtor that's hung around the longest, that's there when they feel defeated, is going to be the one that gets the listing. Now, they take too long to convert. This is one that I love because people don't want to follow up, right? And the old school way to follow up is a 12-week follow-up program. I'm going to give you an example of one later in the class that you can put into play right away. But now what I love is that Fsbo conversion time has sped up. It's down to like less than a third of what it used to be. It's between 3 and 4 weeks is the average conversion over the last 2 years for Fsbos. And here's why. If you've ever heard of the term FOMO, fear of missing out, Fsbos are doing that, right? They are trying to sell. And the truth is some of them will sell. And that's in any market, not just the market we're in now. So we need to stop using as the market as an excuse for that. If someone does a decent job taking pictures, they do a decent job marketing, they do a decent job picking their price, meaning they start within, 5%-ish of where the price actually should be. And if they're very, very accessible, meaning they answer their phone, they do open houses, they allow showings, there's a very good chance that a Fsbo could sell not only in today's market, but in any market. So could that happen? Yes. Will some sell? Yes. Some will, some won't. So what next, right? We need to move on. But the ones that don't sell are giving up quicker than ever because of the FOMO, the fear of missing out, right? They're seeing their neighbors sell in one day. They're seeing the people across the street go on the market Sunday morning, do an open house, and be under contract by Sunday night. They're hearing on the news, the market's crazier than it's ever been. There's no inventory. People are selling in seconds for more than they ever expected. They're seeing on Facebook all their friends complaining how crazy the market is and how they can't buy anything because by the time they do, it has 55 offers. When that doesn't happen to them, they get scared that they're going to miss out on their chance to get paid, miss out on their chance for the best market in the history of forever. And they don't want to do that. So what do? They give up earlier than ever before. So the people that are working Fsbos at a high level consistently are seeing this. But most of us, the truth is, for the last 2 years, we've stuffed the Fsbo pile under the desk because we've given ourselves all these reasons, all the myths as to why they won't work. But now when we look at it and we see that the average conversion time is like 3 weeks to convert a Fsbo, this should make most of us jump back on the Fsbo train. And even if everyone on the call here did, 28 of us, right, there's still plenty of action to go around in this space. Number 3, they're overpriced. The truth is they're usually uninformed or they just have bad data. Have you tried looking on Zillow lately? Nothing is accurate. Mostly because they generate the default search on purpose to be inaccurate so that they could generate more leads and sell them right back to who? Us, right? We can't blame them. They're doing the best they can with what they got. But if any of you have ever gotten a call, a text, or an email that says, hey, I saw this home on Zillow, why didn't you show it to me? Or, hey, I saw this home on Zillow, how much is it? Or, hey, I saw this home on Zillow, blah, blah, blah. And then we look in our MLS and we look it up and we know it's not accurate. Guess what, guys? The sellers that are trying to price their home, they're doing the same thing. So we can't beat them up for that. They're just not informed. We need to educate them. Number 4, they have something wrong with them. Not only do they sometimes have something wrong with them, they always do if they're choosing to list the property themselves. One of the crazy stats that I'm going to share on the next slide is it's like 25 or 26% of Fsbos are still only advertising with a yard sign. Are those people going to have something wrong with them? Of course, because 97 to 100% of searches start on the internet. If they're not on the internet, how are they getting found? They're not, right? So they're going to sit forever and make people think that they have something wrong with them. They just need our help. And the last one, buyers would rather deal with the seller directly. Not always true. Only 5% of buyers admit to wanting to deal with the seller directly. They don't want to deal with that head-to-head, face-to-face conversation with the seller, right? We all know those personalities that will never, ever, ever want to go towards confrontation. Well, negotiation over a huge asset is exactly that, and they don't want to do it. Very often, it's the I's, the S's, and the C's. If you follow the DISC or pay attention to the DISC personality assessments ever, the I's, the S's, and the C's are the people that don't want to deal directly with a seller because they don't want that confrontation. So what do? They hire us, right? They hire a real estate agent to navigate them through the transaction, deal with the negotiating. They hire a title company to get the thing closed safely, securely, and know that it's going to actually close. So we know only 5% of them would rather do it. So why are we not working these Fsbos and at least grabbing buyers out of them to make sure that we can take it to the next step? Now, some Fsbo stats. If you never read the NAR surveys that they do every year, they're amazing. Every year they release a survey with all these stats about all different things. I just took the Fsbo section for the class, but there are tons and tons and tons of stats on there that are really great for your listing appointments, for how to battle sellers, how to work with buyers. Go check it out. But some Fsbo stats from 2021 from NAR. 90% of sellers last year use an agent, which is actually up. That's more people using an agent than have in the past to sell their home. This is good news, right? The average for that used to huddle around 85, 87%. Now it's up. More people are using an agent. Only 7% of homes sold as a Fsbo. 3% of homes sold in another way, like a hedge fund or foreclosure or anything like that. When we look at that 7%, we think, okay, not huge, right? And that's good, because the lower that number stays, the better shape we are in as realtors. But that is still a huge chunk of listing inventory for us to go after. And I want you guys to do that when we get off the call today. 26% of Fsbos advertise with only a yard sign. So as we said before, if they're only advertising with a yard sign, what are the chances they're going to sell, guys? It is so slim to none, right? Very, very hard to do that. Only 11% of Fsbos succeeded solely on their own. So some did so with the help of an agent. Some did so with the help of the title company. Good news is everyone on this call, we can supply and help them with both, right? We can make sure they get either or both or whatever it is that they actually need. We can help them with that. Crazy stat, probably the craziest of all of them, is that the days on market with a realtor and the days on market as a Fsbo are the same. They were the same in 2021. But the big difference is Fsbo homes sold for up to 26% less. So for a lot of sellers, all they want to do is sell it quick, right? And if so, the truth is they could sell it themselves or sell it with a realtor. And if they do a decent job, there's a chance they sell it in the same amount of time. The crazy part is the sellers that actually are concerned about the net, the money, like the reason that we sell a house to get money. The average Fsbo home sold for 26% less. So that is a way to attack them and help them. And here's the stat right from NAR. Here's the graph. Median selling price of agent assisted versus Fsbo homes, $295 versus $217.9. Now, this doesn't mean that every Fsbo took an $80,000 bath, right? Some of what it means is that in general, the people that choose to Fsbo are usually in a lower price point house. And usually the reason they do that is because every dollar makes more of a difference to the people at a lower price point, right? If you've ever dealt with someone in a very high price point, they don't really ever argue with you about commission because they'd rather have the convenience of someone else doing it for them. And they don't want to bother. If you ever deal with someone in a really low price point that's trying to Fsbo, it's not always that they're nasty or they hate realtors. It's just that very often every $1,000, every point, every 2 points, every little bit of percentage, makes a difference on if they can do the deal or not, and if they're going to be able to pay for whatever they're trying to do with that money. So one of the big things we have to help Fsbos understand is that number, right? That Fsbos can be selling for up to 26% less. And we want to make sure that if they're working with an agent, they're netting, meaning they're putting in their pocket the most amount of money. Sometimes saving 1% on the commission is not saving them 1% on the net, right? Because their exposure isn't there. Your negotiating isn't there. The value proposition isn't there. So we need to make sure we help them understand that as we have these conversations. So let's find them. How do we find Fsbos? I hate to say it, but Zillow is still the best. If you're anti-Zillow like me, these next couple of slides are going to hurt, but the truth is they are the best. They're the largest real estate search engine on the planet by a lot. And they don't really show any signs of slowing down, unfortunately, even after taking some massive losses over the last 2 years. They are still the largest, and they are still the spot where most sellers go. Now, if you just don't want to work Zillow, it's okay. You can do a couple other things, right? You could, of course, do Trulia or Realtor.com, but they own Trulia, and Realtor.com is owned by somebody else also. But you could do the paid for services. You could do Mojo, RedX, Vulcan 7, Vortex, any of those big ones you could buy Fsbos on. You could do Craigslist. You could do Facebook Marketplace. You could do the newspaper. You could drive around. You could do Fsbo.com, for sale by owner.com. But the truth is, if we want to do the strategies that I'm going to share with you, or the best strategy, in my opinion, we have to use Zillow. And as much as it's painful to put the slide up, I'm going to do it. All right, so we go to Zillow.com, and this is what we get, right? Wherever you are working, I want you to be able to search or use the area that you serve by county. Do not do it by city. Trust me on this, just do it by county. So you're going to type in the bar, in the little search bar there, whatever county it is that you are working. So I live in Palm Beach, so I'm just going to do Palm Beach. You can do whatever county it is that you're working. You hit it, you click the little blue button, and then you instantly get a pop-up that looks like this. What type of listings would you like to see? For sale, for rent, or skip? For sale is what we're going to click for the purpose of the class. The for rent, though, guys, I will tell you, don't sleep on the for rent, or as I like to call them, the Furbos. The Furbos have some money piled in there as well. The Fsbo, the for rent by owner, is usually a failed investment that someone puts up because they need to rent it, because they either failed with a realtor or they need to get some money, so they try to rent it. These are a great niche that nobody works, right? If you've been to any of my listing classes, you know I talk about rentals and rental expireds a lot because there's such great opportunities in them. Same here. And if you hit skip this question, it's just completely unfiltered, which is just way too much data to look at. And that's usually where sellers, they'll hit skip the question, and that's why they have the worst comps. And I'll show you why in a minute. So we click for sale. And what will happen? The little red blinking light at the top, we need to click on that. The default you're going to see is that every one of these boxes will be checked when you first go on it. But what I want you to do is uncheck everything except by owner. So we want to uncheck by agent, new construction, coming soon, auction, foreclosures, foreclosed, pre-foreclosure, accepting backup, pending under contract. We want to uncheck or unselect or deselect all of those to only leave the one that says by owner. Right. And then what will happen is it will say 0 agent listings. Right. And this makes sense, but this confuses a lot of people. And if you're doing it on your phone, sometimes it just says 0 listings and it looks like you struck out. There will never be a time in the history of the earth that there are 0 Fsbos. Right. So we need to make sure we click on other listings. Zillow is trying to make Fsbos be a pay to play section. So they're trying to separate them. And they're showing right here, they don't get the same exposure as everything else, but people are still going to do it. So we need to click on other listings. And then it will take us to the next screen, which looks like this. And now we'll see all of the other listings, which is all of the Fsbos. So if you notice towards the right, it says sort by homes for you. What homes for you is a combination of things. It will show the newest ones. It will show anything that's sponsored. So people that are running ads, usually it's new construction. It will show upcoming open houses, which is part of the strategy that I'm going to show you later. And then it will show things based on where you live or where you've lived. I happen to live in that building in the past, so it shows that because it's creepy and knows things, right? But you'll see 144 total other listings. Now, side note here, if you click sort by, you can sort by newest or most recent. And if you're someone that really likes to work Fsbos, one of the suggestions, and I didn't talk about this as much today because I'm going to give you a different strategy, but one of my suggestions is sort by newest and scroll all the way to the bottom. Go to the absolute last one, the very end. And that's going to be the thing that's been on the market for the longest. And work your way from there up instead of working from the newest down. Because what will happen is the older ones, first of all, no one follows up long enough, right? Realtors in general are not that hot at follow-up. So what happens? The ones that have been on the market for hundreds of days, sometimes thousands of days, they're not getting followed up with. They already forgot whoever called them on day one. Number two, they're not the low-hanging fruit. They're not the one that all the paid sources are telling them to call. They're not the ones that come up at the top of the search. So very often people don't even get down to that part of the list to call them. So they're not being called by as many people as the brand new ones, which is good, right? That means less competition for you. And usually they're the ones that are more desperate, right? At this point, they've been on the market forever. What do they have to lose by taking an offer from you to list their house for a month or to do an open house or something like that? It's worth the shot. So work backwards on those. What happens when you click on any one of these, if you're one of the people that's always worried about how to get the numbers or do not call, when you click on the actual listing, it will take you right over to your next screen and it will show you the price of the property, the address, and at the bottom, it'll say listed by the property owner and it will give the phone number. Now you can take that address, copy and paste it, put it right into your tax records and use that to be able to grab their name or any other information, but they are putting their phone number out here, right? They are putting this out there by will. So it's not a do not call situation because you're not cold calling them, right? You're not calling them off a list, right? They put themselves out there as someone that is looking to sell a home and you're a realtor looking to help people buy and sell homes. So you're safe with that. So this is the very simple way to find them, right? You can find as many of these as you like and kind of start working them. There'll always be a couple of pictures, a couple of pieces of information, and then the owner's information is on there with the phone number and you can get to work on this one. So that's how we find them. Now we got to work them, right? As Britney Spears says, you got to work. If anybody's on the Free Britney movement, it's been a good couple of weeks for her, right, guys? So 2 Fsbo strategies that we use to work. The first one is going to be the kind of ancient one, right? This is the old-fashioned one. This is the 12-week conversion plan. But the truth is every one of you should have this plan set up if you're going to work Fsbos at all. This 12-week plan that I'm about to give you is literally 12 weeks of ideas or tactics to use to follow up with them. Ideally, what you're doing is in your CRM or your calendar, whatever you're using for your business, ideally some sort of contact management, real estate specific thing, you're going to build out a 12-week Fsbo plan. So if I talk to someone and they are a Fsbo today, I drop them right onto this plan. And for the next 12 weeks, it reminds me once a week that I need to do something. I need to take action to try to stay in front of this Fsbo. And it's not guessing, right? You don't give yourself a message that says, reminder Fsbo. You give yourself a message that tells you specifically what to do. Scott said the 12 weeks of hell. Yeah, it's my follow-up book from the 10 days of pain. It's good. So here's an example. You can steal this word for word. I don't care. This is an example of a 12-step plan that you can take. So each one of the numbers that you see on the side represents a week, right? Each one of these represents a week. That means you need to spend 1 day or 1 minute or 5 minutes per week in the week doing one of these things. And you can do them in any order. You can mess around with it as much as you want. I just wanted to give you guys an example, and I'm going to point out some of the ones that I really like in here. But some of them are so quick and so basic, right? Just calls and texts and emails. But I'll pop out and share you some of the good ones. So week 1, a call. Week 2, a handwritten note. Week 3, a pop by, meaning when you're in the area, just stop at the house and see if you can get lucky and catch them, or maybe at an open house. Week 4, one of my favorite, the contract examples. This is where you go on FAR and you print out every contract in every language, and it will come up to be like 1,200 pages. And I realize that's lots to print and a gigantic waste of paper. But I will tell you, between 25 and 50% of the population, when they see that much paper and that much work they have to do, just gives up being a Fsbo right there instantly. And it's an easy conversion. If you're like me, that high D personality, the second we see 1,200 pages, we just ask, who can we hire to do this for me? Because I'm never going to do this, right? And the I's are that same personality. Now, the S's and the C's might love that. It might be the best day of their life that they get a 1,200 page thing to read and check off. But the other half of the world, right, the I's and the D's, we are over that. So what you do is you go knock on the door with that. You could send it digitally if you want. You show up with a binder. We don't put it in the mailbox, right? Because that's a problem. But we show up with that, and right away, you're going to convert some people right there. The next week, you give them a call to see if they've thrown up yet from looking at it. The next week, we send them a note. Number 7, we could stop in at an open house. Really, any week, if you see they're having an open house, you would stop in. Number 8, you give them a marketing strategy or a suggestion. Now, you don't want to give them all of your marketing strategies because the goal is for them not to sell the house. We want them to fail and hire you, right? But giving them one little tip that show that you care is good. Number 9, marketing photos. If they have crappy photos, which a lot of the Fsbos do, you stop by their house and take a good picture. Or if your photographer's in the area, send them over there or her over there and grab one good picture, or take one yourself and edit it really well. Or if you do a pop by and you're there, ask them if you could take a picture of the best feature of the house so you could share with your database or your social media. Number 10, you bring a buyer. So in week 10, you try to bring a buyer. If you really have one, of course, bring them, get a commission agreement. If you don't, bring your friend, your sister, your spouse, your kid, whatever, or someone that just likes it when you take them to look at houses and buy them coffee, whatever. You just want to show that you're moving and shaking in the real estate world, and you're 10 weeks in now and you're still following up, right? You didn't forget about them. Number 11, you make a quick marketing video. You could post this on your stories or on your Facebook Live or anywhere, just to show them that you're doing something above and beyond that you know sure as heck they aren't doing. And number 12, week number 12, you give them a call. So you can mix around these orders, take it however you want, but every one of you should have this bare minimum as something that you build out in your CRM if you ever plan on working Fsbos, because the strategy of just remembering it or sticky noting it is never going to work. You need a system that allows you automated follow-up. And this is the most basic example of a system that I could put in the class. So I wanted you to have that. Now that strategy is a little old-fashioned, if I'm being honest with you, because a lot of things aren't lasting 12 weeks, first of all. And second of all, with that conversion being quicker, we need a strategy that's more of a now strategy. So I want to give you that one, exactly how I do it. So strategy number 2 is, we used to call it Fsbo Friday. Really, it just turns into a long weekend if you think about it. But this is a strategy that you need to be willing to work a couple of hours on Friday, a couple of hours over the weekend, and a couple of hours on Monday. If you are not willing to do all 3 of those, then this is not the right one for you. This is not an a la carte thing. For this to work, you need to get a couple of hours in each of these days. Otherwise, you're never going to be successful for it. Those of you that actually do a couple hours of this Friday, a couple hours over the weekend, a couple hours on Monday, I guarantee you within a couple of weeks, you'll be listing Fsbos, maybe even the first week. So here's what you do. Here's what it looks like. Friday, you're going to find all the Fsbos that have an open house scheduled. And don't worry, I'm going to show you how to do that with a couple of screenshots right after we get through this slide. So you're going to find all of them that have open houses this weekend in the area that you're willing to work. So this is the reason I do the county. If you're someone that borders on a couple of counties, do 2 counties, right? Or if you don't mind driving, I would suggest staying within your MLS, of course, but basically wherever your MLS covers or data shares with, even those are the areas that you should be doing that. So find the Fsbos that have open houses this weekend anywhere in your MLS area. Next, you're going to either print them all out or put them in a CRM or however you like to look at things where you're about to get to make a lot of calls. I know if I have to make a lot of calls, I'm like a list guy or someone that if it's on technology, I can click through very simply, because if it's not, and I have to find each one at a time, I'm going to get distracted in between and not do it. So I like to do a little bit of prep work and make sure you set these things up so that you have a bunch of them to call in a row. And then you're going to have to actually make some calls. So I know this is where I'm going to lose people, but you have to actually make some calls. Right? This is going to be not a heavy sales call. It's going to be very warm, very simple, very easy, just strictly with the goal of getting yourself in the door tomorrow. So all you're going to do when you call Franny Fsbo is say, hey, Franny Fsbo, it's Ryan over at XYZ Realty. I was browsing Zillow and saw that you had your home up for sale by owner for a couple of days or a couple of weeks now. I saw that there's an open house coming up this weekend. And I wanted to know if I could stop by on Saturday. You still doing it 1 to 4, right? You're just getting them to confirm. And they will love this because they don't want to do the open house. They don't want you to stop by as a realtor, at a time that's separate and waste their time. They are happy for you to stop by in that open house window. So they're going to say, yeah. And you're going to say, great. Let's just say I bring a buyer. I have someone. Would you be willing to pay on the buyer side or how is that working? And whatever they say, you're just going to say, great, no problem. I understand. Appreciate it. Even if they say no, you're going to say, okay, no problem. Right. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Can't wait to see the house. So you're going to make all those calls Friday and you're going to put those notes in your CRM, right? You're going to put those notes in that, hey, called Franny Fsbo. She said this, I said this. Now let's throw them on a 12-week plan. Then on the weekend, you actually have to stop by the house, right? So on Saturday or Sunday or a little bit of both days, whatever it is, you have to go over there and actually stop by the house. So you're going to pop in. And again, this is not the bait and switch presentation. This is not the call to tell them that you have a buyer, that you want to preview the home. And then when you get in the door, you hit them in the face with an iPad with a listing presentation, or you have paperwork ready to sign. That is not this at all. That is not this strategy. I get why that strategy works for some people, but that is not this strategy, right? For this strategy, you are showing up at the open house and just being like a human. You're going to walk around, you're going to introduce yourself, you're going to meet them, shake some hands, kiss some babies, compliment something about the house, ask them some key questions like, when you were buying this house, what made you choose it? Right? Now that you've been here for however many years, what's your favorite thing about the area, favorite thing about the neighborhood? When you move out of here and you sell this thing, where are you going to go? What's important to you about that? How soon do you want to be there? Right? We're just finding out all the key questions that we know we can use for ammo later. But we're not going crazy with the sales pitch. You should hire me. I'm the greatest realtor, blah, 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 blah. We're not doing that. We're just making the relationship. Okay. So we spend Saturday and Sunday doing that. And then on Monday, all the money is made on Monday. So we call them back on Monday with a very simple how'd it go script. So we're going to call the exact same people we called Friday, the exact same people we met over the weekend. And we're just going to say, hey, Franny Fsbo, it's Ryan over at XYZ Realty. We talked on the phone Friday and it was so great meeting over the weekend. House looked awesome. I'm excited for you. I know you want to get to North Carolina. It seems like you're well on your way there. Open house seemed amazing while I was there. And I'm just curious, like, how did it go? How was the open house? And I will just tell you guys, they only ever say one of 2 things, right? There is never a time that they have anything more than 2 responses ever in the history of doing this. I've never gotten more than one of these 2 responses. The first one is they say, I sold it. I told you I didn't need you. I don't need realtors. I'm the best salesperson ever. I saved so much money, blah, 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 blah. And if so, you're going to say, great, I'm so happy for you. If they're nice to you about it, we would love it. If you said, I work with the best title company on the planet, they'll get you closed and send that deal over to Cindy or Kent. We would love that. I'm sure we would gladly reward you with a nice little gift card or a bottle of wine or something if you do such a thing. If they are jerks and they are nasty on the phone, we don't need the business that bad. Just don't send them our way. It's totally fine. I don't want our staff to be miserable because of a jerk Fsbo. But if they're nice, we would, of course, really appreciate the referral. Now, here's what happens the other 50% of the time. You call and you say, hey, Franny Fsbo, it's Ryan over at XYZ Realty. It was great meeting you. It was nice talking on the phone. Great meeting you Saturday. I really love the house. You designed it so well. You decorated so well, whatever. The open house seemed great while I was there. I know you're excited to get to North Carolina. How did it go? And instantly you smell defeat, right? And it's like blood in the water. So sometimes they'll say, well, I missed little Johnny's soccer game to do the open house. And I sat there and twirled my thumbs for 3 hours and no one showed up. Or I skipped out on brunch with the girls and only one person showed up and they offered me 60 cents on the dollar and they weren't pre-approved. Or I missed church with my family and the whole time that I was there, only one person was there. They stayed the whole time. And in the end, when I told them the price, they couldn't afford it, right? Something that they feel as a defeat. They feel it was a loss. They lost out. They missed out. They said no to something else to be able to do this open house. And this is when you are absolutely set, right? So you have two choices of how you want to close them. It's totally up to you. If you're an aggressive kind of closer, you're going to use a script very similar to this. You're going to say, wow, Fanny, that's horrible. I'm so sorry. You know, I'd really love to spend 45 minutes with you this week to show you how I can get you out of the house, get you done with all these problems, and get you to North Carolina in 45 days or less. Would that work? Would today at 2 or tomorrow at 4 work better than you? So more a hard close, right? Where we're just trying to say 30 minutes today to get you to your house in 35 days, or 45 minutes today to get you to your house in 45 days, whatever it might be. Hard close. Or my favorite one is we push for the Fsbo open house here, right? So when they say, well, you know, I missed church with my family to do the open house and no one showed up, you're going to say, man, I'd imagine you want to go back to church next weekend, right? And they're going to say yes. And you're going to say, great. So is it 12 o'clock or what time do you go to church? And they'll say, whatever, 12 to 2, 11 to 1, you know, whatever the time is. You're going to say, great. So 12 to 2. I understand you want to be at church by 12. I know that probably means you usually leave at 11:30. So here's what I'll do. I'm going to show up to the house at 11 o'clock and I will take open house duties for you this weekend. Let me handle it. Let me do the best open house that the neighborhood has ever seen. And let's see if I can get this house sold while you're at church. I don't want you to miss out on that, right? I don't want you to miss out on your activity. Let me help out, see how it goes. Worst case scenario, you went to church. I wasted a day of my life. Best case scenario, you went to church. We got this thing sold. We get you to North Carolina. How does that work? And I will just tell you, they say yes 95% of the time. If they felt the pain, right? If they felt the pain and you kind of brought that pain back up to them, you close them. And then you do the open house next weekend, you sell the house because you know you're going to sell the house when they couldn't, because your open house is going to be the best open house ever. Subtle little plug. If your open house is not generating 50 people every time and offers and deals every single time, what you need to do is get in touch with Kent or get in touch with Cindy and find out when I'm teaching the open house class in your market, which we have 3 or 4 days already booked for February. And you need to be there, because the open house is one of the biggest strategies to build your business right this second. And it plays off this strategy, right? So you want to make sure you're doing that. So if you don't know how to find Fsbo open houses, here's what you do. Same screen as before, right? When we got to the 144 listings. Now, what you're going to do is under the W in Zillow, you're going to see the word more. And you're going to click on more, and it's going to look like this. There's going to be a pop-up menu, and you're going to scroll down until you find the one that says must have open house. And when you find that, you're going to click that, sort by that, and it will give you a list of all the ones that have open houses. And you click whatever one you like, and you'll see it looks like this, right? Here's the house. It says open house. It will say the date and it will say the time, and you're going to put that on your list of things to call. Now, there might be 2, there might be 50, there might be 200. Every market is different. Every weekend is different. But the consistency is the key here, is that you do it every Friday, because there are going to be some weeks where there's none, and there are going to be some weeks where there's 50. And it's overwhelming, right? So you have to do that. You have to attack all these. The key reason it's Friday, I know a lot of people are going to say, I don't want to work Friday. I don't want to do Friday morning. The key reason why I have you guys do this part on Friday is because sellers are lazy. Fsbos are lazy, right? And very often, today is Monday. If you did this today, there are way less than there will be Friday, because people haven't loaded them into the system yet, right? They haven't put it in on Zillow yet. So Zillow doesn't know there's an open house. So when you do that filter, it shows you none or a couple. Right? If you do it Friday morning, the day before the weekend, all the people have this booked. Friday night is even better if you don't mind working Friday night, to be honest with you. But you want to do this sometime Friday so you can mail as many of these open houses as you can and put them in your list. And again, just take the property owner phone number. You have the number, take the address, plug it in your tax records, and then you get the name. Nice and simple, right? And you can do this regularly. So now we got to list them. And the listing part is the easy part, right? 2 options, whatever you do now. So whatever your broker has taught you, whatever I've taught you, if you do the 14-point marketing plan, the 22-step listing presentation, whatever you do, fantastic, do it. Or the good thing about the market being so easy today is we can do the 3 Ps, right? Put a sign in the yard, put it in the MLS, and then pray that it sells. And the truth is, for most of us, that's going to be enough. And if we did a halfway decent job on the pricing, we're going to sell it in 5 seconds. And then once we sell it, we get it under contract. All we ask is you do the easy part, hire us. send that deal to Cindy, send that deal to Kent, send it to us at Professional. 30 days later, after you've done the 3 Ps, you get paid. And it's the simplest deal of your life. In summary, we need to find Fsbos first. We need to get in the habit of finding Fsbos regularly. I gave you the strategy to do it through Zillow. If you want to use any other platform, or if you're paying for any other platform, or your broker provides any other platform, I totally understand. I get it. Use it. I don't care which one you use. I just think Zillow is the simplest. Number 2, we need to work them. So first, we need that 12-step follow-up plan, programmed, preloaded, ready to go, built out in our CRM. And then everybody that we meet in the Fsbo is going to get dropped on that. Then we're going to do Fsbo Friday, right? We're going to attack them Friday morning via phone. We're going to go see them over the weekend in person. And then we're going to attack them again Monday by phone. And the ones that give up, the ones that have the sense of defeat, is where you attack. Then we're going to list it. We do whatever you do to list it normally. Just put the thing in the MLS and get that thing sold. Number 4, you're going to hire us and send it over. And you are going to get that thing sold. I think there's a huge, I know there's a huge opportunity for you guys here with Fsbos. And I'm curious to see who does it Friday and then hear the results. Because I guarantee you, if everybody does this Friday, someone will have a listing Monday. Absolutely guaranteed. Probably a couple of you will have a listing Monday. But I want to make sure that you actually do that. Jen said, how often do you find the property owners of Fsbos or realtors themselves? Not as much as you'd think, 10%, 20% of the time, which is still stupid when they're Fsboing it themselves just to avoid paying the commission and keeping themselves off of the MLS. Very often, I will tell you what I find with that. They'll have their real estate license, but they won't be active, right? They'll be in a referral network, or they couldn't afford to pay the board dues. And a lot of times you can get away with partnering with them to get them on the MLS, and you might have to give up a referral fee. But to me, I will give up a referral fee all day to get a listing that I know is going to sell in 5 seconds, right? So if you know that they are the realtor, that's okay. Offer them that, right? Offer them that chance to do the team up, right? Or the referral. If you know anyone that you think should have been at this call, or think should be on our calls or at our classes, I would love it if you sent their names to Cindy or Kent, whoever got you on the call, because we'd love to invite them. Also, if you know anyone that should be on our Zooms every week or at our in-person stuff, I would love it if you sent that to us so we can get them there and help them as well. As always, thank you guys for your business. We appreciate it. A lot of you we're already working with, so thank you for that. Those of you that we are not sure what you're waiting for, but I'm confident you'll do the right thing and send us a deal soon, and would love to meet you in person sometime soon once you do. Kerry, thank you as always for the slides, making everything look nice. Coming up 1 week from today, same time, Monday at 12 o'clock on Zoom next week, we're going to use my favorite tool of all social media to drive traffic and generate leads. So if you didn't know this, Facebook and Instagram have added some very cool features to the stories that make it very easily accessible for everyone to use them to drive traffic and generate leads. There are features that were only available before with paid accounts, or if you had 10,000 subscribers or followers, but that is different now, and a huge opportunity coming up here, especially for the first 6 months while everyone's still sleeping on this. So get with Cindy, get with Kent, get booked for that class 1 week from today. And again, if you have not, actually, no one has taken the open house workshop because I haven't taught it publicly at all yet, actually. So I would love it if you guys were there for that. Kent, could you jump on and tell us what day we're in your area? And then Cindy, after that, could you jump on and tell us what day we're in your area? Because I never remember the dates for the open house workshop.
In Claremont, it's going to be next Wednesday, the 9th, from 9 a.m. to 12 at the Citrus Tower.
Perfect. So get with Kent. We have limited seating in all these events, RSVP required. So if you're in the Claremont area, get with Kent on that. And Cindy, can you jump in and share when we're in your areas?
So you'll be in the Daytona Port Orange area on the 18th and the Orlando/DeLand area on the 23rd.
Perfect. So if you're in any of those areas, guys, just get with Cindy, get with Kent. We are still for this month in like a limited capacity seating. So I'll teach the class as many times as we need to get everybody in. But if you want to be in that first round, make sure you get with them so that you can get a seat. If we're not already in touch for whatever reason, you want to email me, feel free. My computer is locked out. Some of you guys learned that at the beginning of the call. So I haven't gotten email for like a week. So I apologize if you have emails sitting there with me, my bad. But Facebook and Instagram, you can always get me. If you're not already in my private Facebook group, go on Facebook, type this in the search bar, Ryan McHugh, Real Estate Trainer Inner Circle, and request to join, or just take out your phone, open up the camera, point it at this QR code here on the right, wait for a second or two, and it will take you right to a link on the screen that will take you to my Facebook group. If you're not already in there, it is private, request to join. I share scripts in there, my schedule, all the classes that I'm teaching, what's going on Zoom, and just jump in there to have some fun every once in a while. So if we're not connected on that, please do that. If you have any questions, type them in the chat or feel free to unmute yourself and ask, and I will get to all those. If not, you are free. Thank you guys for being here.